Hey, this is Voo, and this is going to be 4 levels of pistols from beginner to professional, trying to show you everything you should and shouldn't do on pistol rounds as well as pistol ecos. Before we go any further, I want to thank the sponsor for this video, Leadify. Leadify is an AI coach that allows you to improve faster by analyzing your Faceit or matchmaking games and giving you insight into your weaknesses as well as personalized training. Leadify has also implemented a team finder area on their website that will match you based on your skill level, schedule, and ambition, so you can find like-minded players outside of my YouTube comments. Whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, or you're a professional player watching my videos trying to be as good as me, Leadify is the app for you. It's also free to use, so give a click to the link in the description and head on over to leadify.com. To begin with, we've got Chalky, who is Silver 4 here on Inferno, and I'm sorry to Chalky because I'm really gonna question his whole existence here because he does literally everything wrong. So to begin with, he's in the middle of the open, crouched down, then he's going to spray his USP far too fast. The movement isn't great either, and he's even gonna move more into the open in the midst of the fight. Generally, the 3 main things you want to be doing on CT pistol are first, to stay near cover if you can. Second, take your time, don't spray. And third, try and play positions where you can make contact and fall back to another angle and get another kill. Unfortunately, Chalky did none of those things. So to take one step forward, we've got Ramon here, who is Gold Nova 4 on Mirage, and he's going to do a few things I really like. Now, I don't usually love playing triple, but if you're doubling or tripling up on A, this is a very good spot because although you can't fall back from it, you can maneuver around it for multiple kills. The nade, not the most useful thing ever. However, he gets himself in a good spot and he's using triple really effectively, except there's somehow a guy right beside him. Well, regardless, he still does get himself 2 kills, and the play in general was quite nice. The only problem I have with that round is the nade usage. Typically on both sides, nades aren't really very effective to use reactively, and especially on CT side, where the damage doesn't even matter that much, assuming you're hitting them in the head, I don't often recommend buying a nade, unless you've got some sort of nade stack lined up or something you need it for. Now, if we magically go backwards in time, we'll take a look at Ramon from round 8 and see him buy a Tech 9. Now, I don't love that he's not really buying with his team here, but I do love that he's using the Tech 9 in a situation you typically would want to. Usually you want a Tech 9 when you're going to be hitting a bomb site with your team, optimally with something like a smoke exec, something like a B rush with the get right, get left smokes is a great idea because it has ridiculous accuracy while full running, and that's where you want to be using it. Eventually they will make their way out, and what I don't love is how hard he spams it. The Tech 9 simply is not an accurate gun when you spam it. It's going to have bullets going everywhere. You need to be slow and steady with this gun in your aim at least, because while moving, you can be a freaking NASCAR. Now we can contrast that to Spect here, who is Silver Elite and uses the Tech 9 in a slightly different manner. Now his whole team is on Mac 10s, which is odd, and Tech 9 you almost want to use like a Mac 10 when you're entering into a bomb site. You would love to have a Mac 10 or a Tech 9, and then he plays it a little bit too passive in my eyes, but one thing he does very well is he doesn't spray. You see, he did, shoot a couple of bullets fairly quickly, but he was letting the recoil reset, and you can tell how accurate that gun is from range. Unfortunately, he then trades it out for a P90 and gets his head blown off. So if we head on to the intermediate level, we've got Crafty Tomato, who is Faceit level 4, and here on Dust 2, both of his pistol rounds are absolutely worth looking at. Now the initial pistol here on T side, I don't love the way he strafes out of tunnels initially, but the peek onto the guy at the box is quite nice. The way he sticks around posted on double doors is very effective as well, and he's doing something you love to see, where he's trying to spot people out and then re-peek on them with good crosshair placement. You can see exactly how that works with the player window. Now he does spray a little bit too much on the player coming in door, however, onto the Dooley's player it worked very well, and following that, Going for body shots with players he likely knows are injured is very smart. What Crafty could have done better is he could have jumped out of tunnels, even potentially looking down initially to create space for his team, and he could have taken his time against a player coming in double doors, but other than that, he played it very well. If we take a look at the second half pistol, Crafty Tomato will take the general pistol advice, which is to take a shot and fall back. However, he's going to realize something here in a moment, which is there's not too many places you can fall back to after the first two shots here on Dust 2. So he's going to take the first two, realize, oh wait, I've got to take an engagement, and then he's going to return, but you'll notice he's trying to take off bite-sized pieces. He's not trying to swing directly into his opponents, he's trying to peek out and catch one player at a time on his screen, hit the headshot, and then move on to the next. I think this is absolutely how a high-level player might play a pistol round outside of the first bit of confusion. Although high-level players usually won't go long on pistol unless they're going with their team. So I'll take a look at Ramen275 here, who is also Faceit 4, and I just want to note this mistake I see him do that a ton of people constantly do. And that is, with pistols, they never stop pushing. You know, you do want to get aggressive and catch your opponents off guard to get something back because you are at a disadvantage with pistols against rifles. However, you don't need to rush until you see someone. You know, in this position here, he's got short control, his teammate is pushing out Monster. He could try and support his teammate, or he could just hold control and try and allow his teammate time to flank if they're not outside B, or just allow his teammates to know that they're in control on the A side of the map. Instead, he's going to open up the door, get caught, and end up dying, which opens everything back up for his opponents, and forces his teammate who pushed Monster to make his way over to cover Connector. Now, to contrast Ramen, we can take a look at Carl here, who is in the advanced category and he's Faceit level 6, and he plays much more conservatively once his teammates get him an advantage. Now, of course, taking B site control is probably more of an advantage than Ramen had in the last one, but you'll notice he doesn't force his way out looking for kills even when his team struggles a little bit to take B. He knows he can take his time and catch someone rotating before making any contact. Then he gets a little bit more aggressive to try and force home the advantage, and that's where he unfortunately dies. But still, taking his time there got him at least one kill and bought his teammate time to bring the bomb over to A and get the plant. Now, in order to actually achieve this idea, one way you can do it is exactly what Carl does here on round 3. He's going to get aggressive with a couple of flashes with a play in mind. He wants to get on Cat for some close range engagements. He's going to catch a FAMAS here. He doesn't overextend the fight, knowing the FAMAS is caught in the open. He takes a couple of shots, ducks, takes a couple of more shots, and ensures he gets the kill. And then his teammate's going to drop him over the FAMAS here since he has armor. Just kidding.
It was at this moment that he knew.
And the round does collapse. But the idea is that he made a calculated, aggressive play to gain control of an area, and with that control, he wouldn't have needed to continue rushing onto the A bomb site. He could have set something up with his team. Instead, he made contact, he got a kill, and then his whole team dies, and so does he. So if we skip to Austin here, who is Faceit 10, you're going to see this little Molotov the CTs throw. Do not sit behind this Molotov. Before I take a look at another pistol round, I want to take a look at a round here from player 9029, who I believe is Faceit 9 at the time of this demo, and you'll note he has a deagle while his teammates have guns. And what I hate to see when people have this type of situation is they run in and die immediately with the pistol. Instead, what 9027 here is going to do is he initially went into boiler when he had a teammate going aggressive in halls. His teammate fell back, so does he, and he boosts up a player with an SMG, and then he's not going to over-contest in middle. He's a little bit in the open here, certainly could have gotten shot in the face, but he's not trying to get a kill. He's trying to bait for his teammate that's boosted up to get a kill for himself. And unfortunately, it doesn't go well. However, following that, again, he knows his teammates are the ones that can oftentimes get the kills here, so instead of going over aggressive, he puts himself in a good position to play off of his teammate, he gets himself a kill, and he survives as long as possible. Now, he doesn't end up winning his team the round, but fundamentally, he put himself in the best position to get a kill or two, but also not become a liability despite having a weaker gun. So to take a look at a pistol round here, I've got a round of my own as I'm Faceit level 10, and this one should kind of illustrate why pistol rounds are hard to actually examine at higher levels, because once you actually follow the 3 core concepts I talked about at the start, it does often come down to aim and shoot them in the head. So the initial engagement here, plenty of ability to fall back, get a kill, fall back. I could have gone into the second cubby here, but instead I fall back into the open. My teammate in the bomb site is making this a bit of a crossfire, and I don't give him the most support ever. However, he does get himself some kills, and should he have died, I would have been able to get at least 1 or 2 more myself and then play for the retake. At the end of the day, what this really came down to was I positioned myself decently, had a location where I could easily take shots and fall back to cover, and my teammate was in a position where he played a bit of a crossfire with me, and we landed our shots. This round would have looked entirely differently if I had missed the first shot and my teammate on site had died. Now, if we go to the pro level, we can take a look at a round that might even be a better example. It's going to be Niko, and we'll take a look at a few rounds from him, but this one to begin with in G2 versus VP, where he's got a very hot and cold pistol round. Now, I mentioned teams don't always go for long control. This is often something they'll do. They'll go for this type of cat control because the angles are quite long range into middle, but Niko isn't going to be able to land the initial shots. They're going to re-peek out on him, and he's going to miss them again. He's going to get dinked and his teammate dies. Now, if he had hit some shots there, that would have turned out entirely differently, but he gets dinked down and they go for a recontest on long. This is actually quite standard on pistol rounds, especially. You go back for long control once you've given it up early and once you've gotten pushed off of middle. His team will get control of long here, and then he's going to end up over towards ramp as his opponents make their way up. Now, he's got a great position to take some shots and fall back. That's exactly what he does. Then he's going to recontest, trying to catch them off guard when they're crossfired by his teammate. Hit a very nice shot there, another quite nice shot, and then a third extremely nice shot. Now, at the end of the day, he did the concepts I mentioned earlier. He tried to stay near cover, he tried to take long range engagements, he didn't spray his USP unless the player is quite close, and he was mostly in positions where he could take a shot and reposition to take another shot, at least at the beginning of the round. That was very true. But the reality is, the beginning of the round, he simply didn't hit shots, and at the end of the round, he destroyed them. Now, in the nature of re-illustrating issues other players had earlier in the video, we've got this round here. Now, Niko is going to be trying to contest long control while his teammate goes for cat control. They get boosted up with 2 players. He used the smoke to deny information, so they'd have to commit, and this is a big risk. But once he gets it, he doesn't overextend trying to hunt a kill. He knows his team has good control on catwalk. They've got a couple of guns, although not a full inventory. They have something to work with, and his team getting spotted on cat could bait them out long, thinking it's clear. So he doesn't go over aggressive early. He waits for his team to end up back towards the site, and then once his opponents start making their way onto the site, that's when he goes more aggressive and he tries to catch this player watching the flank. Unfortunately, somehow all of those shots miss, not really sure how, and he doesn't get the kill, but he did play that one how you're supposed to play. Calculated risk early to gain some control, and once his team is in a decent position, he didn't overextend. Now, the final round to take a look at here is G2 versus Complexity, and it's the second half pistol round. Now, Niko here is actually going to be buying utility and playing window. He's going to be giving it up fairly easily because, especially as the player with utility, you don't want to overstay your welcome and die, and then not only do you lose the utility, but you also give some of the utility to your opponent. So he's just holding very far back here in window, tosses the nade into window, doesn't really get much done, as nades often do, and then his team is going to regroup and go through CT together, which is absolutely something to do, especially in this sort of scenario. You group up off of a flash, you try to overwhelm them at these long range angles, and the most important thing to do while doing this is to make sure you immediately smoke the bomb, which is going to get your opponents to move out of their hiding and their cover to try and stop you from defusing. Now, the smoke missed in this case, so they mostly have to kill their opponents, and Jax is struggling to find the bomb, so they pretty much only have to kill their opponents. But the pressure of the smoke, especially the second one, will draw your opponents out from the cover that they're trying to hide behind to worry about when your teammate is going to hop on the bomb. They're going to try and catch that diffuser before he even gets into the smoke, and that will allow that overwhelm from CT to do really well. On top of that, what's quite important is you land your shots, as with all pistols. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.